So the next thing we're going to take a look at for advanced, just for tools, is to take a look at the page properties and how those are set up. So just as a refresher, you access those, and certainly you've been doing this throughout the whole training off of the Page tab within the Sidekick. So again, when we set up our page, our Lacerte homepage, the one that we were doing for ourselves, we came in here and set up some things by default. So we're going to go through and just take a look at each one of these tabs. We're not going to highlight everything, but we're going to highlight a lot of the things that are in here, with the caveat that a lot of things change in the UI, so there could be some updates. For instance, currently right now, this has been updated down here where it says enable responsive viewport, and you had to click that on. Now it's on by default. So you'd have to click it off, which makes a lot more sense. So anyway, we're going to go through and just take a look at some of these things. Some of these we've already covered. But again, on the basic tab, the first thing we've got is this internal title. And it's really not a name that's used anywhere. The internal title name is really under the title field and gives us a name we can look at internally within AEM. And it really, that's a function of, being able to locate the page within AEM. We've already had you go through and change the page titles. So whatever you put here is going to end up on the browser tab up here. So that's already been changed and adjusted. And we had you do that as well. So the public URL, this is a way of sort of kind of recreating the taxonomy of a page and the structure. So in AEM, so for instance, on the QuickBooks site, there tends to be a long list of pages, and there may not be, as of this time, a real logical taxonomy. So if you wanted to create a custom URL, they can be anything, and you can make these many folders deep. So we're kind of forcing a taxonomy for the pages in the public URL. So everything really should follow a logical taxonomy, and this is used to overwrite that taxonomy, the AEM, the way it's set up in AEM. Keywords and descriptions are pretty straightforward. This is SEO related. So search engines are looking for these, and there's already some good detail on the CMS Online Help Guide about these, but those should be pretty straightforward and apparent to you. So robots are something that not every site uses. I believe Online Acquisition does. So this is what you would use if you wanted to exclude this page from a search engine. So you'd put no index or no follow. And basically in here, this tells the search engine, do not do certain things. So common use again for this would be, I don't want you to search for this page. I don't want it to be listed. The canonical URL that's down here is somewhat of an overlap with the public URL. Canonical URLs, Google does penalize you if you create a canonical. You're essentially doing one thing and telling Google something else, and that doesn't always tend to go very well. And then schedule activation, I believe, is just a vestige of back before there were workflows. So you would schedule your activation of this page, so that's not really used anymore. On the advanced options page, really for the most part, live person is used on just about every page. On this one, it is not, but those are used for contacting, getting in touch with, as you might be able to guess, a live person. And so DFA, we're moving away from this because of some performance issues. But again, this page has that enabled, or did at the time that we went through and took a look at it. But in chat is something that everyone is using, is definitely using this one, and certainly Lacerte is as well. So you can see how this is configured. Again, the point of this isn't really to go through and show you every single option here, or else this would just take forever, but just to bring, get you familiar with some of the features and the functions that are here. And my recommendation would be to go through and set up your page with this identical chat and see how that works on your page. On the analytics tab, definitely This is something, again, that we've taught. When you go through and start your page, just jump in, enable Site Catalyst, make sure it's version 15. You have site name, group, host, and product that you can choose from to designate all those designations. And if it's a global site, Optimizely is something you'd want to check on as well. Page registry is for identifying the owner and the different page types. So this registry key is auto-generated, as is the ID. So, but you do have these other options to go through. What's the object type? Is it a page or a modal? The page type, a landing page, a shopping cart, whatever it may be, a business segment. And that's just a way of being able to go through and say, okay, we have so many pages on intuit.com. You need a place to register those pages, understand who the page owner might be, and the page owner group. So that's all done on Page Registry tab. The promo banner container is really just to designate where that container shows up. So if you wanted it below the nav, above the footer, or below the header, you would do that here. The SUI config is also set here. So the sign up interview or form. So if you were to click on a buy now or a free trial CTA, this is where you would want to go through and set up those designations. Again, there's some instructions underneath each one of these fields, but as we're just calling this out as, this is where this is located, and as you get into whatever group, you may or may not need this, depending on the complexity of the work that you'll be doing. And then the Attributes tab, which I feel like we've gone into a few times, this is where you can go through and pull out a theme if a theme has been assigned, and then also where you designate your header path and your footer path. So on this page, we definitely recommend that you go through and look at the page properties, try to get your page set up pretty much to the way the Lacerte homepage is set up. And the page properties is something, again, that it just takes time to get used to. You have to go through and you're not going to get it all in one setting, but definitely look at the CMS Online Help Guide for additional information. So once you get that set up, your page should be pretty much complete. Again, when you go through and do this and finish your ILN testing, and then do your practicum, this is something that we'll go through and take a look at and to see, have you gone through and done the work on the portfolio page, especially if there's any kind of issue whatsoever. So we definitely recommend that you get this page shaped up and in a really good place, because again, the best way to learn this tool is get your hands on it, and building out a page is a great way to get your hands on this and actually achieve something.